Lynette and welcome. Today I'm doing the eyeshadow palette tag part 2. And if you like makeup hauls, swatches, reviews, and tutorials, then please consider subscribing because I'm here every Saturday doing one of those things. Now, if you'd like to learn more about my eyeshadow palette collection, then keep on watching. Glines and Samantha March, they created the original eyeshadow palette tag, and I did that video, so I will link it here in the eye for you. And so I figured I might as well go ahead and do part 2, right? So this one was very hard. This one was a lot harder than the first one, if you ask me. And you shall see. And you know, honestly, if I were to do this video in 20 minutes, all the palettes might be different. But this is what I'm going with right now. So there's 11 categories. Let's get started with number 1, which is the all-time favorite. My all-time favorite eyeshadow palette. I mean, that's really hard. All-time favorite? I went on ahead and I went with Mother Pat. And if you know me here, you know which one that would be. It's the Divine Rose 2 palette. From the outer packaging, because I keep all my boxes, from the outer packaging to the palette itself, and then to the color story, you know, just gorgeous, rosy toned, everyday neutral palette for me. And it includes a phenomenal trio chrome and her special shades. So yeah, it's a really special palette. So that's the one I'm going with today. Number 2, a new favorite. This one was hard too, but I decided to go with the Blend Bunny Surge palette. And I did use this palette today in combination with another palette. And I mean, I do love the color story of this palette, but also more than that, it's the eyeshadow formula. I love the Blend Bunny eyeshadow formula. I really do. Pigmented, blendable. These are my go-tos. Like, I do have the original Blends palette, which is a rainbow palette. And if I just need a matte to pair with a shimmer palette with some shimmer singles, or if I just want to use singles out of another palette, this palette, those 2 palettes, but the formula I can trust. So this palette I've really been enjoying. I've used it a lot thus far. It's gotten a lot more used than a lot of the palettes in my collection. So definitely had to put this one in this category. Number 3, Keep for the Memories. And that one was pretty easy. And it goes to the Too Faced Chocolate Bar Palette. This one still smells like chocolate. Faintly, very faintly now though. I've had this palette a long time. And this palette just reminds me of when I was new to makeup and to eyeshadow. This was one of the first high-end palettes that I purchased, and I loved it. I got a lot of use out of it. And like I said, I did a recent declutter and I just couldn't get rid of this one, even though I haven't used it in a very long time. I don't see myself getting rid of it anytime soon. It's vintage makeup, and yeah, I get all the warm fuzzies when I look at it, when I open it. So yeah, this one was an easy one. Number 4, underrated palette. And there's a couple that came to mind immediately, but I decided to settle on the Equalizer Volume 2 palette from Sample Beauty. You've heard me mention this palette on my channel before. I really don't hear anyone on YouTube talking about Sample Beauty, and I'm not sure why. They have beautiful palettes. Maybe they haven't come out with something recently, because this isn't a recent palette. But the formula is really, really nice. These metallics are really beautiful. The mattes are really easy to work with. And yeah, I really like this palette. They have some other palettes with color stories that I would love to pick up now that I know that I enjoy the formula. But you know, we're not trying to go there this year, 2022. But definitely, I think an underrated palette. Number 5, not a favorite, but can't get rid of. Not only, where is it? Not only is it not a favorite, I don't even like this palette, but come to find out, this was in my declutter pot. I decluttered this. In my declutter video, I decluttered this palette, and I have snatched it from the flames. It is the Kat Von D Pastel Goth palette. You know, Lala Bad, she reminded me that this is vintage makeup and I might want to sell it. A collector might pay a pretty penny for this, but probably more so, I'm just gonna put it in my makeup museum because, you know, the brand is defunct now and it doesn't look anything like this anymore. And this palette, you know, it was different for its time. It really was. So even though I really hated the performance of the eyeshadows, to me, it didn't really work. The concept though, I really liked, and it's a classic. So yeah, don't like it, but can't seem to get rid of it either. Number 6. Favorite collab. This was really tough because there were a lot of good collabs last year and just a lot of good palette collaborations came out. I picked up a few and that I really enjoyed, but today I'm gonna go with the ColourPop Star Wars The Mandalorian collaboration, and I'm going to go with specifically the Mandalorian palette. Now, I think every every collaboration thus far with Star Wars is my favorite. Like Pat McGrath, Dr. Ash reminded me in her video when she did the original palette tag about the Pat McGrath Star Wars collaboration, which is excellent. But I'm giving it to the Mandalorian and ColourPop because from the packaging, I mean, it's got the Mandalorian on it. And then to the inside details with the Mandalorian and Grogu, to the color story, which is a beautiful cool tone palette, but the color story is also in keeping with and in alignment with the Mandalorian. Like they got it all right. They got it all the way right with this palette, like everything. So, and as a diehard Star Wars fan, they did good. They did good. And the performance of the shadows are really nice too. So this one was kind of easy. Definitely the Mandalorian. Love it. Number 7, my 2021 favorite eyeshadow palette, which if you follow me here will be of no surprise. It is from Danessa Myricks and it is the Lightwork 3 palette. This palette to me this was a home run. A home run. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 multi-chrome shadows in this palette. It was limited edition. You've got holographic, you got 2 gel shadows, you have a pressed glitter, you have this gorgeous, beautiful cream to powder matte black. You also have another cream to powder shade in here, which I think is this one right here. I mean, this one was the most exciting release for me of 2021. This palette is so much fun. It will bring you out of your comfort zone. It's just, I just freaking love it. So a friend of mine told me that the Beautylish website has it listed as coming soon. So maybe she's bringing it back. I don't know, but if she does, if you didn't get it, you might want to jump on that because it's my favorite. Number 8, didn't expect to love. An eyeshadow palette that I didn't expect to love. This will be of no surprise either. It is from Pat McGrath. I know, shocking. It's the Celestial Odyssey palette. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I didn't expect to like this palette as much as I do. I really do. And I bought this palette and it sat It sat right over there in that box for a minute, for a few minutes. I just kept picking other palettes over it. I just reached over it for other palettes, and it kept looking at me, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get to you, I'm gonna get to you. I just wasn't excited about using it. But it was Pat McGrath. It was a mega palette. I don't have any of her mega palettes. And I mean, the color story is pretty. They're beautiful shadows. You know the quality is going to be up to par, beyond up to par. But you know, it's the same of a lot of what we've seen from her. Pinks, mauves, you know. She did throw in a little green here for us. And a blue. And surprisingly, I've used this palette several times. It's gotten good use in my collection, and I have not yet did a look with those shadows yet. So I complain about how she needs to do more greens and more blues, and I buy the palette and then I don't use the blue or the green. Not yet, I haven't anyway. But yeah, that's how much I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed doing these soft, neutral, mauve eye looks. So yeah, a nice surprise. Number 9, palette that sparks joy. This was very difficult because turns out 99% of my palettes in my collection spark joy. But I had to narrow it down. I had to pick one. So I chose from Be Perfect, the Carnival 4 in collaboration with Stacey Marie, the Carnival 4, the Antidote palette. I could have very easily picked the original, not the original, the Carnival XL palette, which I absolutely love and adore. I went with this one because, I mean, look at it. When I got this palette, I thought it was beautiful in pictures, but when I got it, I thought it was even more beautiful in person, and I still do. And just, I mean, these greens here, just gorgeous. I mean, I open this palette and it gives me all the feels. I get excited. I get excited about what looks I can create with it. I've done 3 looks already. I've done looks from each section, each color section here, and there's plenty more I could do with it. So yeah, this one definitely sparks a lot of joy. Category number 10, the newest palette in your collection. Well, it's actually 3, and I did show these palettes in my last video. They are from BH Cosmetics and they are from the Sweet Shop collection. I do have 2 of these palettes already, and I saw these at TJ Maxx and couldn't help myself. This is the Sugar Cone palette. They were $7.99, $8.99. How much were they? $7.99. Like, this is the orange sorbet. This is the one I went to TJ Maxx looking for. Beautiful. And then I ended up with 3 instead of 1. And the Sweet Shop Cotton Candy palette, which is really pretty too. Did I need them? No. Do I regret buying them? Absolutely not. And then last but not least, the first palette that I used in 2022, and it was from ColourPop, the High Tide palette. Really pretty. Really pretty. Really beautiful color story. I love the shades in here. The performance was beautiful. One of these I don't know if my brush was dirty. But it's this one. I kept packing it on the inner corner of my eye, and I kept getting silver. And I was like, is this a duochrome? And I not know, but I don't know. But yeah, it's just it's gorgeous. I love it. That's it. Short but sweet. I would love to see Juliana, Bumsy Bee Beauty, and I would love to see Barbara do this tag because they have an extensive eyeshadow palette collection, and I would love to see their choices. I will leave their channels down below. If you're not following them, you should go over there and check them out. And if you do, please tell them I sent you. And that's it. Let me know if you liked this video, then give it a like and consider subscribing. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you again next week. Until then, bye-bye.